everybody. So I have, it seems like the norm tonight, but I also have a complicated relationship status right now with nature. I was looking through her phone and I found some things I wasn't happy with. You could say that at least. But let me tell you a little bit how I got there. So around 13 months ago, I read 2 books in a row, and I never really realized reading 2 of the right books together could do this to your head. But it was like taking some crazy set of drugs a doctor prescribed in the right order, because it changed how I thought about everything. The 2 books were But What If We're Wrong by Chuck Holsterman and The Big Picture by Sean Carroll. And it made me reject a lot of what I thought I knew about nature. And as a science buff, I always loved science growing up. That was a little, I won't say devastating, but it was weird. So I was that kid, my dad would take me out early in the mornings and let me ask all those annoying questions that kids ask. But he let me do it for 3 hours, which was amazing. Bless him. But I would ask everything from, why is the sky blue, to why do these hermit crabs on the beach have shells? Why are there tides? Oh, well, why are the tides different today? I was relentless. And that carried over into middle school. We had this big award ceremony in middle school, and everyone was getting best GPA, best athlete. I won one award that day, and it was kind of an FU from my teachers. It was most inquisitive. I'm so proud of that, though. I mean, come on. So here I am, most inquisitive boy, go off to college, end up dropping out, doing a company, working on my second one now. And this was right when I was sort of finishing up the last one before I went on to visit my grandparents, take a little bit of time off. And I read these 2 books, and basically what they were saying is everything I thought I was pursuing, like truth and scientific understanding, and understanding why things happen and the laws behind them, basically is a lot of arbitrary bullshit. Ooh, shocker right there. But just to give you one very simple example, 3,000 years ago, people thought that gravity was just Earth wanting to be near more Earth. So that's why things fell down. Insights. But it worked, and that's what was fascinating. That's something that these authors both sort of espoused over and over again, is we had different ways of explaining the world, and there was no requirement for it to be true. What mattered was that it was useful. So at the time, when we were building 1-story buildings out of wood huts, it didn't really matter if that's why things fell to the ground. We just knew that they did. When we started building bigger buildings, we had to have Newton come around and explain how gravity worked, because it was the only way to actually create a science around architecture and engineering to actually make things that big possible. And then when we started sending things to space, Einstein came around and found another version of gravity that answered more questions and was more accurate with relativity. And still today, scientists are like, well, we know this shit doesn't actually work because there's this thing called dark matter, and we don't want to talk about it, but it's kind of like other dark matter, we just don't even know what it is. But just give us $50,000 a year and come to our colleges, and we'll teach you all the other stuff, all the basics, and just don't ask about that one. Thank you. And they do it in that voice too, which is the weirdest shit. I mean, I took a lot of physics classes in college, and they all say, oh yeah, that one, yeah, we don't know about that. Yeah, again, most inquisitive boy, so I had the track record. But yeah, it was the craziest thing. So I'm reading these books, and the second one, the Sean Carroll one, which I think if I had read them in the other order, it wouldn't have had the same effect. But he introduced this term, poetic naturalism, and basically was everything, every law of physics, everything we know about the world, everything we know about society and the way cultures work, they're all just stories we tell ourselves. And there's nothing inherently right about them. There's nothing red about red, there's nothing blue about blue. There's no fundamental property that makes it that. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's just how we interpret it. And again, it doesn't matter if the stories are true, it matters if they're useful. So, you can see why I'm conflicted here, because she just rocked my world with that one. But basically, where I am right now, I can't say there's an end to my story, so I think I'm disqualified technically. But I feel like if I can solve this, deviation from what was expected, it's probably a Nobel Prize for me and the people who help with it. So that's currently my bout of confusion that I'm in the middle of. But I do know one thing for sure, and that's that I no longer seek truth, I seek understanding. And maybe you guys will pick up the books and have the same internal conflict, but if you have any issues with anxiety or any medications you're currently on for heart disease, strongly discourage you from doing that. Thank you so much.
Aidan, everybody.